Yeah, the first thing I was going to ask you, yeah, is there's two questions to this. So the first bit is, do you think that do you think people should and can turn up to your house
Do
unannounced?
you know what's funny? I was thinking about this the other day. Oh, I want to say yes.
Does it depend on the situation as well? Like, does it, and who it is? Because that's another thing. Does it matter who it is, or is it just like a sort of blanket, like zero tolerance
Zero
to it?
tolerance.
Zero tolerance, man.
I want to say, and obviously it's going out there now, so I can't take it back. I want to say, for me personally, I don't mind that because that's how I used to just live in it, where friends would just come and knock for me. Might not always be going out, but they come knock for me and they just might chill at mine or something. It's different if it's not just you living in that space. Do you know what I mean?
That's what I'm
And
saying.
it does depend who it is, but I don't know nobody mad where I'm thinking I don't want them just rocking up. So if you just said, look, you're in London, just knocked at the door and you just it's calm, innit? Do you know what I mean? Like same with Jesse. There's a load of people. I can't really think of anyone I can, but I'm not gonna say it on here. But
You don't want to say
no, no. There's
it.
I think there's probably about two people. I think if they're just turning up, it depends on what I'm doing. But yeah, sorry to answer your question simply, you could just rock up. It's calm.
See, you just hit the nail on the head, though. I'm glad you just said that last bit. That's what I was waiting for you to say. You said it depends on what I'm doing, right? So
Yeah,
here's the second part of the question. Because I was thinking, I was having a conversation about this earlier today, and I thought, yeah, let me just ask you. But so say for instance, yeah, someone just turns up to your house. Are they allowed to just open the door and like invite themselves in, or do you expect them to knock? Or if you got a ring doorbell, press the ring doorbell, or can they? If it's someone like me or Jesse or whoever, can they just like unannounced as well? Remember, they haven't WhatsApped or nothing. They're just turning up. Can they just come in and then just open your door like they live there and then just walk in and
like
go,
an
oh, you're
American
right.
thing. Yeah, where there's no locks on the
Yeah,
doors.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No locks. I had to
Yeah,
think about
I
that
had to
one,
think.
innit?
So yes, but this is because of the people. Yeah,
Swear.
because growing up, the home for
Okay.
me, home was just it was home, but it's that kind of open doors policy where even if I'm not saying loads of people got my keys, but let's say for example, I don't know, I'd say look, here's some spare keys. I'm calm if I come home one day and you're just chilling in the yard, innit? As long as it's not mad like you're waiting there like trying to scare me or anything like that. But some people want to play pranks, but no, if I just came in and you're just playing FIFA on my TV, yeah, that's
You'd
yeah,
be
that's
alright.
fine.
You'd be alright with that. I don't know, man. I thought, you know what? I generally thought you was gonna say no to both of them. I generally thought you was gonna say no, 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 that can't happen.
No,
That's
but
mad.
that's yeah,
It's not mad. It's not mad in the fact that you said that. I don't mean it's mad like that. I just mean like I didn't think you was gonna say that.
yeah, because I think it's because of the people I know. If you asked me 10 years ago, I'd say no. It would be a small list of two or three, but everybody I know would be respectful in my yard, and anybody who, let's say, just needs a little bit more guidance. I'm thinking of like the youngers, like just, couple cousins or whatever. They come, they like eat off the food and they don't wash up and stuff. Then I'd have to say, look, you got to tidy up after yourself. But if they just came and ate the food and because I'm thinking about when I was growing up, and certain time I might just roll up to someone's yard, and I've got friends now where I could just knock on their door. If they're in, then they'll just accommodate me. Do you know what I mean? So that's me, but I have a feeling that your view on this is really different. I can hear you laughing already.
Listen, no, because you know what it was. Yeah, I had a conversation, and I was like, this conversation stemmed, yeah, because like Like my missus, she don't care. My wife, she don't care. She'll just like, her family are very much like what you just described. Then, like, there's no like ringing. Are you free? Are
Mm.
you in? Are you free? I was gonna call around. There's none of that. Or when like, I mean, it stopped here now. Don't get, I put a stop to that because to me it's just, nah, it's
No,
just
I
mad, and
understand.
like
I understand. I
I can't
understand.
process that bit. But like even the other day, like when we went to visit someone, like my wife just like knocked, but
Mm.
while she was knocking, she's basically opening the front door at the same time, and I'm like, no, 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 you can't just do that because we don't know what these people are doing in the house. They could be doing anything in the house.
But
Remember, they could be doing
but this
anything, whether it's
yeah,
daytime,
this is
nighttime.
why because I'm gonna say,
Do you get what I'm saying?
where have you got that mindset from in the first place? That anyone could be
What do
doing
you mean?
anything in the yard.
Nah, but it's their house. So listen, if I'm in the daytime, imagine like obviously I ain't got no kids around or nothing. I could be doing anything with my wife in the house, and you just open the door, and do you get what I'm saying? Like it could be any room. I don't have to be in the bedroom doing a madness. I could be doing it in the kitchen, in the living room, anywhere, on the stairs. It don't matter. So my point is, like, imagine you just walk in and you just see it, and you're one phone call, one little WhatsApp. I'll be round in 20 minutes. Are you free now? Or are you not free? Or not? I'll wait at the front door. Because the reason I don't like it is because sometimes like you might not be in a mood
Mm.
for company. You might just want to be on your own or whatever. And I find it mad that like sometimes people just turn up. Do you get what I'm saying? Or I might want to watch the World Cup final. That's happened to me before, where like people just turn up. You're like the World Cup finals on. Like the one time it comes on 4 times, you gotta wait 4 years
And
for the
someone come
next
and
one.
mash it up.
And so yeah, like come on, man, just times for. Do you know what I mean? So I always think, no, don't just turn up,
Mm.
ring or knock the door, and then I'll decide if I want to
See,
answer
that's
the
for
door.
me. I wouldn't just walk in someone's yard. I'd knock and wait. But that's just how I was raised, innit? I think I think this comes down to the who it is because I don't know anyone where they knock on my door and I think I wouldn't want them to come in. Do you know what I mean? And I'm probably lucky in that way. I have a small circle, but even like, go on.
Say you had a bad day though. Say you had a bad day.
But I'll just say,
Imagine you imagine you're pissed off or you're in the middle of an argument. Then let's make it even worse. You're in the middle of an argument and the argument's heated and you want to win the argument and then the door someone just walks in. Now you got to diffuse the whole argument, act calm.
but for me,
Do you get what I'm
it'd be
saying? Like
jokes though. One and two. It's a sign. It's a sign, isn't it,
I don't
that
know, man.
argument had to end. You know me anyway, man. I can't. I don't do the conflict thing. Like it's long. It's a long one. So, but I hear what you're saying though.
Imagine you're sleeping. Imagine you're sleeping in the middle of the day. Let's go back to the last episode when you talked about sleeping in the middle of the day. Imagine you're sleeping. Imagine you're sleeping and then you wake up and then someone's just tapping you, like
But who
waking
are
you
these
up.
people that you
That's it.
who's coming into your yard waking you up
Yeah,
from?
but
These
even if it
deviants.
was me, if I no, I'm thinking even if it's just me, right? It's just me, and I just turn up, and I'm like that tapping you. You might not remember you're in your house. You don't have to have clothes on. You don't have to sleep in clothes. You could be sleeping just willy nilly, however you want. So imagine, yeah, I just turn up. I don't ring you. I don't knock or I knock, but I just open the door anyway, and you're just spread out. And do you know
I
what I
think
mean?
that'll
In
be
the living
worse
room.
for you than it is for me. I wouldn't care,
That's
bro.
what I'm saying, man.
Listen, if you want to fast up yourself or come into the yard, that's your problem, innit? I'm not gonna do that, but I know what you mean. I do know what you mean. I do
You
know what
hear what
you
I'm
mean.
saying, though?
And this
Like
isn't
it's
like anyone could just rock up to my yard and come in. But if I know you, if we're comfortable enough for you to think that you can do that, then you can probably do that. Do you know what I mean?
let's go. Let's talk about
Yeah,
sleeping in the day though, because
that
when you
threw you
spoke
off,
that about
innit?
that last week, yeah, it completely. Because I'm not against it, yeah, at all. But then, do you sleep at night as well?
So if I sleep in a day, I will sleep at night, but it's rare. In fact, when I was talking about last episode, it was because it's been recommended to me a lot of times by a lot of people, and particularly when they're saying or once you start hitting like, you know,
Middle age.
mid to late 40s and middle age, depending on how long you're willing to live for. But if
Middle
I'm
age,
living
man.
till obviously 70, then yeah, of course. But yeah.
Middle age, innit?
So, but no, they were just saying that they just go for like little sleeps, and they feel fine. And I didn't like it before because it would mash me up for the rest of. If I go and have a nap, I'll be tired for the rest of the day. But now that I don't really care if I'm tired or not, and I'm not busy like that. I'm not like going out to raves on a Wednesday, after lectures and thing. I'm 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 calm in it. If I'm tired, I'm tired. But they were just saying, I think it's because as an adult, your sleep you sleep less at night and your sleep is more interrupted. Especially, obviously, I haven't got kids, but if you have kids and that, so I can see how that will work, and that's why I wanted to ask you, because obviously you've had all the madnesses in the mornings where kids are running around and daddy, daddy, and all of that stuff. So I was wondering if you've napped in a day.
No, I have like 100%, but I think like to like apply some context to it as well. I think the only time I think I've ever really done that is especially early in the, like when the baby's born and they're just your sleep
Mm,
pattern's a mess anyway. You don't catch like 8 hours sleep of a night. You get like 4 to 6 good hours of sleep a night, and then you just got to catch a little half an hour, a little 40 minutes here, there in a day. But I think as your kids get older and they're sleeping through the night, I don't know. I don't think I could sleep it. And like, don't get me
mm,
wrong, I've done it before, or I've been on a train or whatever. That's one of what I'm going to ask you that in a minute, actually. But I've slept like on a train or a plane or whatever in a day. But that's just because I've either been up really early or, and I know then I can still sleep overnight because you don't really
mm.
sleep properly on like, do you know what I mean, when you're on a train or a plane. But yeah, I don't know, man. I'm trying to think the last time I slept in a day. I don't. Wow, it's got to be years. Probably when my daughter was born, because I don't, unless I'm ill as well, and even then I don't sleep in a day because I'm like for sleep
Mm.
already. I don't really. My sleep pattern's been a mess for years, but yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think I
But
do.
would
I don't
you
think I
would
will
you want
or
to
would.
do it though? Like if there was a way that
If I could sleep at night, I would.
okay, so it's something you're curious about it then.
Like if I could still
Yeah.
sleep at night. Yeah, of course. Listen, if I if I can get like an extra hour and sleep and still sleep overnight, I'm taking it. And I don't even care what it costs. Even if I have to leave my front door open and people can just walk in, I don't care. I'll
So,
do it. But I know for a fact I could not sleep
but
overnight. I would not be able to
all right, let
sleep
me ask you
overnight.
something else then. If you watch a film in a day, do you ever fall asleep sometimes to the film, or if you're watching something? Oh, okay, that's where that's where
Never.
I started thinking. Actually, this makes sense because certain time, like what was I watching the other day? Lord of the Rings. Oh, yeah,
That's
I fell asleep for
listen,
about an
guys.
hour, but yeah, it was calm down.
I'm not surprised, man. You know what I think about that already. I've never watched it.
Listen.
I've never seen Harry
No,
Potter and all
Harry
that.
Potter's its own
So
thing on it. We ain't even talking about Lord of the Rings is a serious film, slightly racist, but if you ignore that bit, it's a calm film.
swear.
Oh, it's mad. It's mad because we're going off. I'm going to bring it back around, but
Yeah.
in the first films that were made, when you watch it, everything that is bright and white is pure and good, and everything basically, yeah,
Everything that's
everything with
dark,
green
it's
eyes
evil.
is evil, and basically the orcs that are the bad guys, they're
But they're
they're black,
dark.
innit? Like, when you look at or like maybe even like Native
I knew
America,
there was a
because
reason.
they got dreads and they got the long hair and
Gave them
no, they
grass.
got like
Made
some of
them
them look like they got proper dreads. Yeah, yeah,
Rasta man.
it's a bit mad, and I realized it.
Bro,
I realized it, but then I thought, you know what? If I just look at it from a different angle, that they're just monsters in it, then I can get away with it. They corrected it anyway in the Hobbit. I've watched all of them, but they corrected it in the Hobbit where they mixed it up a little bit, so it wasn't all bad. But yeah, it's definitely like bright is good and dark is bad in that film in every way. It's mad. But sick.
that's
No,
why I
sick
don't
film
watch them,
though.
man.
Sick film.
I was gonna say though, like I think I think as another thing for me, and I don't know if you do, but I drink or I don't anymore, but I used to drink a lot of coffee. Do you get what I'm saying? Like from like 5:30 in the morning till 4 o'clock in the evening, probably later.
That's
My
mad.
last like cup of coffee would be like 5:30. That was when I used to work a lot, and I used to do them mad commutes like to
Yeah.
Birmingham every day. So I'd be up at like 5 o'clock. I'd have my first coffee then. I'd drink throughout the day. I'd get a coffee from the train back so I could watch something on my iPad or read or whatever. So by the time I got back, I didn't need to sleep because I'm full of caffeine still.
That's
So maybe
that's probably
that's where
what the
my,
issue. That's bare caffeine. Oh
yeah,
my
of course.
god.
Yeah. I used to have like at least, I'm talking, this is average, at least 9 to 10 cups of coffee a day. Or, like I don't know what they're called in Starbucks. It's not like the grande. That's like the big one, isn't it?
Okay.
Like a medium
Yeah.
one. I don't know
Yeah.
what a medium's called in Starbucks. Just a
He's
regular, whatever they're called, regular,
banging
whatever.
close to double figures of those a day.
Yeah. And no milk, so it's just pure. I don't have milk in my coffee, so it's literally just Americano
No
black.
wonder that you're
Keep it
anti-napping.
simple.
Like, just it's just alien to your body, isn't it? Like, just sleep. That's I didn't even know you was drinking that much
Yeah, but
like
kids.
before.
Yeah, remember we spoke about this years ago, not on the pod or nothing, but I messaged you one day and I was like, I think that's when I was like coming off the coffee, like I was like having withdrawal symptoms. Remember,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I had to stop drinking
Forgot.
coffee because it was keeping me awake, and I remember messaging you saying like, I'm really struggling, like, I need
Yeah, yeah,
need your help,
because
sort of
yeah,
thing,
caffeine
because
ain't a joke. Like it's a
yeah,
serious.
it was
Yeah.
addictive, man. I was drinking it like it was water. So now, like today, I haven't had one. Like I sound like a mad coffee fiend here, but like I don't drink coffee every day anymore. Like I'll just have one in the morning, and then that's it. Then, and then if I get tired throughout the day, I get tired, or I have like some fruit or something, just something to keep me awake.
How,
But
how did
yeah,
you get
man.
into coffee? So for context, I had one coffee once, and I'll tell you about when that was as well. So I remember it, but I don't even caffeine is just something unless it's just in some of the foods that I eat, like chocolate or whatever. I don't do it. So how did you actually start drinking coffee? Like, what was the point where you thought this is something I need in my life?
I, I can't even remember. I can't even remember. I think I can't even remember, man. I think one day I just tried it. I think because I'm not really like, I've never been a tea drinker ever. I've had like 3 cups of tea in my life, ever. Probably not that. In fact, I'm exaggerating. I probably had two. Let's take it down a notch. Like green tea and all them kind of like what they call the herbally ones and all that. I'll drink them, but like
Like the
proper
English breakfast,
tea, BG
Earl
tips,
Grey tea.
Tetley
Yeah.
and all them. Yeah, and all them. No, I don't touch them. So I think one day, I think I just had coffee. I think I just tried it. The one I can't. It must have been like a work thing. That's the only time I would have tried it. So I must have tried it there. But I used to drink it with milk. And one day, I was going to London. I'll never forget the day. Never forget this day. I got on the train at Liverpool, and then obviously like this is like 7 o'clock in the morning, like the 7 o'clock train in the morning, and my belly was doing a madness on this train because of the milk, innit?
Oh,
So I was just like, nah, this
oh,
ain't
so just
happening
stripped
right
it out.
now. And then I knew, nah, I had to firm this journey for like two and a half
Obviously.
hour journey. I had to firm it because I thought I'm not doing this nothing on this train. And I've been in the Euston toilets before and it like for like just a normal
Yeah,
wee or whatever I piss. And I know what they're like in there.
can't be
So I
happening.
thought there's no
Yeah,
way you're catching me not in Euston, like fuck that. So I had to firm it on the tube as well. And I thought this is the one day I have to give up milk because this cannot happen again. And then the one other time, the woman at Cafe Nero, I said black Americano, and I'm gonna have to call her a bitch because that's what she was. I'm sorry, but she put milk in the coffee in it. So then basically the same thing happened to me again, but this one was like touching, like this was photo finished, like I was lucky to get to the toilet that time. But anyway, back to the whole sleeping thing. Yeah, basically I think I couldn't sleep in the day because I know what my body clock is like, and I know that if I did do that, I don't think I'd sleep at night. Like it just wouldn't happen for me. I know what my body's like. The worst thing for me is if I get woken up overnight, say I go to bed at 10 and then I get woken up at like 1 in the morning, I'm awake all night then.
that's a man.
Do you get what I'm saying? I can tell you're the total opposite. I know you probably sleep through like anything.
Then,
Do you get
then
what I'm
now I'll
saying? Am I
wake
lying?
up.
Yeah, so I'm saying, you know what I'm saying? Like could be like anything happening, like the world could be about to end, and I think you'd
I
still
think
sleep through it.
even if you try to wake me up, but don't to be fair,
Just say, get off me, man.
the
Leave
only
me.
time when I struggle with sleep is like intermittently I have issues with my back. So if I'm in pain because of my back, then I'll wake up quite a lot. But other than that, not like you could break in my house, you can I don't know, like draw on my face.
If
Yeah,
your
if my
door's
door's
open,
open to
innit?
anyone, yeah, you draw on my face. Like I ain't waking up. Um, but
You must have some mad uni stories. I don't want to get into
it
them,
started
but
before then. To be fair, like I was one of them dons where in secondary school times, from about the age of 12, I actually used to just stay up. You know, we're talking about staying up to watch wrestling. So I'd do things like I'd stay up to watch wrestling, or
yeah,
I'd just
yeah,
be
yeah.
playing computer games until like going back to the last episode, distractions. Yeah, like
That was
I'd do my homework, like finish up 11 o'clock, start playing pro, go sleep at 5, wake up at 7, go school, sleep at school. It was a mess. So and then uni wasn't any better because I'm trying to think. It was a Call of Duty times when like Call of Duty 3 or whatever came out. Yeah, we're just up until 5 in the morning. So I think that's my body is just tired from all of that abuse. And then yeah, it's just since then I've never have a problem going to sleep. But the napping thing, what I find is if I eat big in the day, I have to sleep it off. Otherwise, I feel a bit murdered. But I think, yeah, I know you're laughing. I think if we were all given longer lunch breaks and we all worked quite close to home, and we had the option of having a little meal, having a little sleep to sleep it off, and go back.
my
Yeah,
face
yeah.
is in
But
Spain. What do they
that's
call
what
them
I'm saying.
things?
Yeah, like
Siestas.
have a little siesta. I think a lot of, it would help a
Listen,
lot of people because even like later on if you're and I shouldn't be advising this because of my job because I'm there out there telling people oh yeah don't nap and all of that but personally I think if the lifestyle was different and we had naps I feel like we'd spend enough energy in a day to then be tired enough to go sleep and I think we'd actually be a lot more relaxed but I feel like just going
just
because I know you're up early. Like, some days I'm up at like 6, 7. Some days like 10 to 6. Just going flat out, and then what? Sometimes I'm going football at like 7, not getting home until like 9, 10. Hell yeah, I'd like a nap. Like my body needs to rest. That's why I'm so mad. That's why I'm not waking up when I go sleep. I'm just saying that. Do you know what I mean?
but if you did
Mm,
this siesta thing, yeah, don't forget in Spain, like work,
mm.
especially here as well. Let's be real. If you had a siesta in the middle of the day, do you think you're still finishing at the
Yeah,
time that you're
because
finishing?
it's me, innit? Other people ain't, but
Nah,
I'll just say it
no,
to
no, no,
work.
no, no. They want to. They go. Listen, go and take your
Yeah,
siesta. It's fine. Go and have it. But you're working an extra 2 hours on top of that. You're not finishing at the same time. You got to finish at 10 o'clock now.
but then
Do you get what
it
I'm saying?
depends
Like they would.
because in Spain and I think they have it in the same in France and maybe possibly Italy as well, but definitely in Spain, you go and have you go and eat with your family or your friends. So imagine,
What in a
yeah.
siesta?
So
You don't
no,
sleep.
they'll eat and then some people have a nap, some people won't, but quite often you'll eat with your kids or you eat with your family.
Oh no 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 no! If nah, forget that. Then I'll just do that. I can do that at the end of the night. After I finish work. No, I thought that was your time to
No,
go
no,
and
you go
sleep,
eat lunch,
and
but you have
then
enough time to actually eat lunch and do something. But you know,
oh no no no
I
no
just
no
think we're conditioned to just do things. But I feel like if actually we had a break, I don't know. Like personally, I don't know if like my brother was around, if we all were local and he was about, and he was like, "Oh, do you want to go get lunch?" I was like, "Yeah." Do you know what I mean? But
I
I
hear what you're
think just
saying.
because of the, and we're all working, even if we're not even in London, we're still working far, and we get like that stupid like 30-minute lunch break where it's 29 minutes to get your lunch or heat up your lunch because the microwave's busy, and then you're there in meetings like trying to down pasta, and there's that you're trying to chew it and talk, and yeah, it's long, man. So I just think it's a mindset, but I'm gonna try it one day, definitely.
How, how often do you sleep, or would you choose to sleep in a day though? Would it be like a once a day thing, like every day in a week, or is it, or currently? Because I'm assuming you still kind of have a little nap every now and again when you can, but do you like how
No,
often are you
I'm
doing
not. I'm
that
not gonna
at the
lie.
moment?
It's rare. I think I purposefully done it like twice during the day. So like this
I don't know how
this
I don't know
was
how you do
in
that.
like the beginning of the pandemic. So I was working a long day, so I had a longer break. So I just did that in a break. It was fine. Um, Now I've noticed it's crept more into the weekends. So like I said, especially if I'm watching a film or just anything, I'll eat and then I just can't stay awake. I wake up like Netflix or Now TV or whatever's taking me to like 8 episodes down the line. Or do you know what I mean? You wake up and you're like, I don't know what's going on, but I feel I don't even know if it's the same episode. It's in the same place where you left it, but obviously it's an episode along. So, but yeah, I don't mind. Like, it's okay for me personally. I'm
But yeah,
not
man,
advocating
I
this, and
don't know, man.
obviously, like like I said, in terms of my job, I don't recommend it. But if it works for you, it works for you. It's like caffeine. I used to drink tea when I was young. I don't drink caffeine now, but I used to drink tea before going to bed. I slept fine. Some people do that. Like it's calm. Don't know.
You're sending me, you're sending me back to the dark place of caffeine, man. I don't know how you lot are doing that, but you see, yeah, I was thinking as well because obviously Conte in it. I
Oh
was talking
yeah.
to you about Conte, and I thought we were talking about it
I
on
think
WhatsApp
so.
as well.
I mean, to
I
be
think we
fair
were.
to him, now that he's not working, he can sleep in a day all he wants, isn't
He
it?
can
Yeah,
sleep all day. He can sleep.
man
He
can
can
stay
sleep
up
all he
as
wants,
late as
man.
he likes. Like no work. Yeah. What was he gonna say?
No, I was gonna say because I think obviously with Conte and the way that he kind of
Mm,
left Spurs and speaking out about his, because I feel like he's kind of divided this whole thing about like should he have spoke about Spurs the way that he did,
yeah.
and to people who don't know what we're talking about, but obviously Antonio
I said Kante,
Conte,
the
mixing
World
up
Cup winner.
remixing people's names, but World Cup winner, Italian but part French, but no, Antonio Conte, Spurs or ex Spurs manager, came out just before the international break at a press conference and basically said everything that every Spurs and other football fans have been saying about Spurs for a very long time, and he's kind of come out. Probably one of the first managers that I can remember, especially at Spurs, that's actually come out with this
Mm,
much venom and said what he said. And I feel like that kind of split people's opinions, especially on like Twitter and all the other stuff, and in
mm.
our WhatsApp as well. Like, should he have come out with that much energy? Should he have been sacked? Should he have kept his job? And one of the things I was going to ask you: do you feel that people, not even that like terms of
Mm,
like just football managers, but just anyone, Bill that works in
mm.
BP garage or whatever, should he be allowed to like? I'm not saying like push your like your employers under the bus, but voice your opinion a bit more. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like, could John, who works for Amazon, proper have a go at Jeff Bezos, or is that who still owns Amazon?
Mm,
Whoever owns it
mm.
now, or whoever it is, should he be able to talk about him in that kind of way? And does that mean he has to lose his job?
So my honest answer is yes. Like, as in, you should be able to talk about it. I think as long as you're, I'm gonna say as long as you're not being disrespectful, but when I say that, as long as it's not just a rant and you're saying it based on what's going on, and it's I suppose it's gonna sound weird, but it's coming from a place of love. When I heard Conte say that, it's not because he sounded like he had enough anyway, but he's saying it because he genuinely sounded like he wanted to do some stuff there and make a change. He's made mistakes like everyone in the job, but generally speaking, I mean, I'd say probably the last 3 4 years, I am more like that. Like sometimes I'll just say, I don't think that's a good idea, or I don't think we should be doing that like that. That doesn't work, and when we do that, it messes with people. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, I won't go into too much, but there's times when there's an idea proposed, and I'm going to say that's going to piss people off. Like that isn't a good idea. And even if I'm talking to other people, I'll say, look, for example, we want to improve X, Y, and Z. We ain't really done that well in the past, and we can do better, and it's not good enough. and this is why we want to involve you. And I'm just saying that so we can all be transparent. So I think people should be able to say it, but like you mentioned with football, Amazon, any kind of big organization, ego, and then they start talking about bringing the company to disrepute and all of that, and it's because they
That's what
don't
I was
work
gonna
on
say
in the
though.
same field that we do in terms of they do their own. They don't even pay taxes, half of them, so they operate on their own thing. But what about you? What do you think it is okay to do it in a way that he did it?
That's it. No, I don't. But I think your example, I do that a lot. Like internally, I speak up a lot. But would you like? So
Mm,
I'm gonna answer your question. But I'm gonna ask you another question, dead quick. But like, say for instance, you was like this. You was dead against something, or you knew
mm,
something was wrong in maybe not in the job you're in. Just say you work for
yeah,
JD Sports or whatever, and then you realize something was mad that was happening. That was affecting all the stores everywhere across the world, across the UK. Would you and you the press approach you, someone from I don't
mm,
know, one of the press come to you and say, "Oh, what's happening in there?" Da, da, da. If you probably spoke to them, you'd probably lose your job.
100%. Yeah,
Do you know what I'm saying? So do you see what I'm saying? Like internally, it's calm because you're all
yeah.
internal, and 9 times out of 10, it stays internal. And I think that is potentially what Conte and maybe Jose and other managers have been doing, is keeping it all in house and hasn't really spilled out too much. But Conte almost went over the fence and said, you know what, forget what you lot are saying in that office. I'm going to take it to the world so
Yeah.
everyone can hear what we're actually talking about. Do you get what I'm saying? So, like for me, my job now, if I even, there's certain things I have to not sign like
Mm,
disclaimers, but it's what's that word, man? Not ring fence,
mm,
it's
mm,
embargoed.
mm.
So there's a lot of things I just can't talk about
Yeah,
in
I
the
think
job I'm
that's
doing
fair
now
though.
because
Like
it brings. Do
there's a legal
you
precedent though,
get what I'm
isn't there?
saying? Uh,
No?
Not even legal. It's just like it would the reputation's not the best as it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? So if I went to the press and the press are heavily involved in what I'm talking about already anyway, if I went to them, I know my job would be finished. So, but it shouldn't
Yeah,
be.
yeah.
What I'm saying is it shouldn't
It's a
be
good point.
finished. I should be able to go to them. Do you get what I'm saying? So do you reckon that's right? Should people, any job, doesn't matter what job you're doing, if you're dead against something, should you not then be able to voice, even if it means you go into the press or I don't know, a documentary's made,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
sometimes people have got to have their face blanked out. You shouldn't have
And
to. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, I know what you mean. So it's a I'm not going to answer this straightforward. Like I don't answer most questions straightforward. If I'm on Conte money, 100%, I'm just going to do it. I don't care. If you're telling me that right now, I say something about my work, and it just means I get my 4 million now rather than in the summer, then it's all good. Because I think that's how much he's going to get. There's one job I was in, and it really depends on the context. But there was a job that I was in that I probably, if I was put in that situation, I probably would have just said fuck the consequences because I'd had enough. And it was all. I'll tell you what it was as well. I can't give too much information, but it was to do with recruitment practices, and I was very vocal. And I just want to be clear: this is definitely not about my current workplace. In case anyone, so I just need to make that clear. I need to make that clear right now. But I refer to it, and I'm gonna be no, I'm gonna be mindful of my words. It, yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. It
Just be careful.
felt like the recruitment policy. It felt like when I went into work, it was reminiscent of a plantation in the sense. I know that's very strong. I know it's
You're
strong,
killing
but
me,
in the
man.
sense of
Yeah, no, you're killing me.
in one part of that organization, there were certain people that all looked a particular way. So basically, black and of Middle Eastern, Asian, yeah.
Ethnic.
But specifically that, and there was another part, and not well paid, and doing all the frontline stuff and getting loads of abuse from people, treating them like shit, both part of the workforce and other people. And there was another part of the organization, everybody was well paid, not working any hard, and
And
that
weren't.
looked very different as well. And I was getting
Yeah,
pissed off to the point where it didn't make sense for that to be happening, even in that industry. And if someone asked me what my thoughts were on that, I would have just said it's a racist, discriminative policy, and I've spoken up about it. They're not doing anything. This has been going on for years. I don't care what the consequences are, and I'm done. Now, obviously, because I'm not Conte and I'm not in football, I'm not that important. No media approached me. I'm not gonna go out there and start spreading it. One, I don't know how, and two, I'm just gonna be shouting into the wind. But I was very vocal about it to everybody that I spoke to, because my thing is, by highlighting it, one or two things will happen. One, it's true, so they have to admit it. Or two, they'll do everything they can to deny it and make it not look like that, so it will change. So my thing is, it really depends on your circumstance. And I was in a position of privilege where my money was okay, and if that it didn't happen there, I could have done something somewhere else. So it just depends on how you see it, what your situation is. There's no wrong or right way, but I think it's fine to do that. And I feel like that's kind of part of why Conte did what he did. I don't think it was the whole reason he's got issue and da-da-da-da-da, but I think part of it, what you're saying is facts. It's 20 years of failure. It's 15 years since a trophy. They just care about the money. They're not invested in the squad properly. It's all facts. And now that they've said it, there's a choice. They can either not say anything, this is Spurs, and not do anything, or they can be like, no, and start buying up players and thinking about long term. It's a win-win either way, and Conte gets his money. So anyway, I've deviated from the question, but 100%, yeah. In that specific situation, because I felt so strongly about it, if that was going on, I'd have to. And someone asked me, I'd have to come out and say, yeah, and let's just see where this goes.
Because there's like a lot of whistleblowers in it, like across different companies and organizations, and I always think, why does, like, a lot of them, not that you have to be anonymous, but there's a option to be anonymous. And I always think, why would you have to be anonymous and lose your job over something that you feel very highly about or passionate about, or like the example that you used, like, that's just basically something where, obviously not in the example that you give, that clearly there's a diversity issue, an inclusion issue, or equal opportunity issue. Do you know what I'm saying? So there's loads of those things that they're not covering when it comes to that sort of diversity bracket and all of that. And then I think for Conte, to kind of bringing it back to Conte a little bit as well, I think he was well within his rights to say what he said. He probably could have worded it better, but like we said in the WhatsApp, passion gets over you. When you're 3-1 up, and Southampton.
It's my son, and he scored a last minute penalty, I think.
Exactly. Yeah. So 3-3. Yeah, you're 3-1 up, and you can't see the game out. As fans, we get annoyed. So imagine being a manager. You've worked all week. You're trying to get top 4 for the club. You're used to being in Europe and winning things and whatever. And then that happens. Of course, you're going to be pissed off. And I think it was just whether the press, whatever question, because the press is smart, they use certain questions. I watch Graham Potters all the time, and they use questions. They've done it with Tuchel as well. They must do it with all managers, where they use particular questions knowing that they're going to trigger you. So whatever they said to him triggered him, I would say. And I just think Spurs, like you said, have always been in this round, like this circle of just getting the manager, getting top 4, getting a bit of money, going as far as they can in the Champions League, potentially to the final, getting knocked out or losing the final, back again, new manager, same stuff, blah, 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 blah. So we've been doing that for years. But like I said in WhatsApp, I don't even think they're bothered about Champions League. I really don't. Their money comes from so many different places that I don't think they even care. And I don't think they care that they have to sack Conte and give him his money. I really don't think they care, because they're bringing so much money from NFL, from this go-kart that they're doing, the view of the thing, whatever it's called, you can sort of go to the top of the stadium, do that. They're generating money, concerts, they're generating so much money from other places. Do you know what I mean? TV rights as well. No, they might not be in the Champions League, but I just think with Conte, this has been on the cards, in it, but I think you should be able to talk out about your employer and not lose your job. So yes, I'm saying he was wrong for doing it, but I'm also saying yes, you should be able to talk out about your employer. And I suppose again though, it depends
Yeah,
where and
yeah,
how you do it and what level. Like the example you gave was perfect, but with Conte, you got to think him coming out and saying that could disrupt sponsorship deals that they might be trying to secure for next season or the next 5 years, or particular players that they've been talking to for the last 6 months, and then the manager's coming out and saying that. They might be thinking, nah, we don't want to be in business with your lot. Or the player might think, nah, I'm not signing with Spurs, or Arsenal interested, or another club. So it might ruffle other things that are going on behind the scenes for the club. So I see why they sacked
yeah.
him, but he
Same,
should be
same.
allowed to
But
do that.
I look at that and I think, I mean, that's just how football is, and I think a lot of sports, to be fair, are like that. Not just football, but it's mad that it's been so dictated by sponsorship. And to be fair as well, I know it's a hypothetical, but any player who hears that and thinks, like I don't want to go because Conte's there and he said all of this, I'm questioning the mentality of that player anyway. In fact, if Conte keeps his job, and obviously
They actually win
his
something.
the results and all that as a side point, but if Conte keeps his job, and I'm looking at that thinking, okay, he's there for another couple of years, he wants to win stuff. I want to go and play for a manager. I value that mindset. Do you know what I mean? I want to be a winner. I want to be the best I can be. And there's no denying that Tottenham are
It's
doing
true.
better. There's different ways of doing it. I'm not saying that that's the best way. I'm not saying that's the worst way. I'm just saying if I'm working somewhere and someone's called something out because they're fed up with the bullshit and they feel it can be done better, and their work, they're feeling that the workplace is taken and not giving anything back, and they say that and they get a little reprimand, but that person stays there and a change is made. I want to work for that person. That person is going to get me where I need to go. Just, but it's
It's
I
facts, man.
think, yeah, the way that he did it was a bit mad, and I think also it's very English as well. Um, and I say this very broadly, but it's very English to do a thing like it's got to be whistleblowing, or we shouldn't really talk out. It's not the thing to do. Do you know what I mean? It's
That's my
just
point.
we don't do that here. Even if someone is, murdering puppies or whatever, or they're polluting rivers, or
Indeed.
they're getting their money to build these massive skyscrapers from human trafficking. You probably shouldn't call it out because it might be backlash, or we don't want to talk about someone, but it's good that you're aware of it, and that's just how the mentality is here. I can't talk for other countries, but here, and that's an issue.
There's
Go
something
on.
I'm dying to say in it,
Okay,
but
don't.
I don't know if I can. No, I can actually. I will. I might edit it out afterwards. But see, there's a guy that I used to work with, yeah, and I'm gonna edit this out, I think, but I'll try and leave it in. I'm gonna try and choose my words wisely. But there's a guy that I used to work with, and this years ago, and I used to manage him, right? So years later, obviously, I moved up here. I moved up to Liverpool. I don't really speak to anyone.
Mm,
A couple of people down there, and then I always thought this guy was a bit weird, yeah. And I hate to use that word weird, but he just wasn't. I'm not sure what was wrong with him. Okay, there was obviously he just wasn't a
mm,
people person for whatever reason. So years later, I'm on. Someone sends me a Facebook link, and I don't know if you've ever seen. There was like what they call like catching
mm.
predators, right? So someone sends me a link here, and it's him. He's in the video. He's come. He lives in like a particular place in the Midlands, and he's come all the way up north. I'm talking quite way, like past me. I think he's in like
Yeah,
Yorkshire
yeah,
somewhere mad, and he's in like some like business park or retail park, and they've cornered him, and he's him. Do you know what I'm saying? But not like those kind of things get brushed under the carpet. Now, people should be talking about that, saying, look, this person works for a particular thing,
mm,
and do you know what I mean? And there's people in there that don't get CRB'd
yeah,
and all
yeah,
loads of stuff. But if I spoke out about those things, I'd probably end up,
yeah,
do you know what I mean? I'd end up being a bad person, and I'm not the bad person. The bad person's the one that was at the retail park. But if I spoke out about that, because he got hot, like no one knows about that, like really, and that should
yeah.
be big news because of like their affiliation, but no one knows about it. It's mad. So it's one of them where I think if you speak about certain things, you would become the bad person when really you're the person that's alerting people to the fact that something
That's
isn't
the
right
thing.
somewhere. And I think that's what I think Conte was like, the one that randomly caught the stray to an extent, even though he's getting paid
Yeah,
off. But you
yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like in
He wants
terms
to be
of
working though.
people are saying, oh, yeah, he didn't want that job anyway. You could tell. I told you in the group chat. He was telling people that Spurs were mid-table team last year, January, when we beat them in the League Cup semi-final. But yeah, that's mad. It should be. You hit the nail on the head again. You hitting the nail on the head all day today with the. It's an
No,
English thing. It's an English thing that you
it is.
can't really speak up.
Like with so what's quite interesting was with that, in my opinion, is it then ties in with a lot of identity crisis that people have because in this country in particular, and depending on who you are, and I don't just mean if you're like not white, if you're working class and white, if you're not white, if you're white and a woman, whatever, non-gendered, what have you, we have to conform so much because there's so much to lose. Not everyone, but some people, there's so much to lose that you end up not really being your true self, like your authentic self. You know, we talk about code switch and all of that at work. And I think it links
Yeah,
to people struggle with their identity. Not they don't know who they are, but when they're in a certain environment, and I'll hold my hands up to this as well, you change it up slightly, but it's at odds with who you really are. And if you do that for too long, you end up having that lack of
become
identity because there's an identity that's being
yeah.
forced on you that you don't really want. But you kind of just have to put up with it. Now, some people will just say, "Oh, I don't do that," and rare, and that's fine. Like, good for you. But a lot of people, and particularly people I'm doing like work with, and something I'm having to figure out myself as part of the work that I do is it's a struggle because you can't just say the thing that you want to say or you can't be who you want to be. It means that, yeah, you're struggling with your identity, and then all of a sudden, you end up in your mid 20s, mid 30s, mid 40s, and you don't really have a grasp of who you are, and you struggle. Do you know what I mean? So,
Yeah, it's difficult, man.
but anyway, that's that.
Man.
Good luck to Conte and his 4 million. If you want to adopt a young, handsome black man, you're more than welcome to. I'm happy to be the Kieren Conte son. Give me some of that cheddar.
Be careful, man. Be careful, man. You might get your DMs flooded with people, man. I'm telling you, wanting to own you and
No,
do some madness with you, man.
just
There's some weird
Conte, and he
people.
can just, you know, help me out a little bit, help me retire.
Speaking of weird conversations, um, yeah, I don't know if you watched the Noel Clark stuff or the interview. I should say the interview
Yeah,
with CC Mills. In fact, I want to say this first that like, obviously could be potentially
yeah.
like quite trigger warning, so it could be quite a subject that you might not want to listen to. So, if you don't want to listen to this part of the episode, then now's probably the time to cut off. But yeah, I think. What was your thoughts? Let me just keep my mouth shut. What was your thoughts on the interview with Noel Clark?
Um, it it didn't really leave me with more understanding than I had before I watched it. It helped me when I put it on. I had to really just clear my mind of any biases, just any pre thoughts that I had, any any feelings I had about the situation. I just needed to listen to it objectively. And when I came out of it, was unsure. And yeah,
Can I just
yeah.
ask you a quick question though? So, because I'll forget. Was you able to do that though? Like clear your mind of maybe you can, but would you be able to do that? Because I can't do that. If I know something, I know it. But was you able to sort of like separate what you know to be able to kind of watch that without that kind of knowing what you know sort of thing, resetting your memory a little bit?
No, I tried to be honest. Maybe the first 5-10 minutes, but then afterwards, because of the demeanor of how the interview was done and the questions and all of this stuff. So the best I could do is just acknowledge when I was getting a feeling about it, but thinking this is probably because of something I knew before, I read or whatever. I think what it one of the things it highlights is a lot of problems not just in that industry, but in a lot of industries in that period of time, and how much of a mess it's going to be to undo it, and how much of a mess it's going to be to understand. I'm getting myself in a muddle, but just under it makes me think I don't really it makes me sense. I
I know
feel
what you're
like I
saying.
don't understand people, because some stuff makes sense, some stuff doesn't really make sense. I'm not sure what the motive was. I do know what the motive was behind it, but it's also, it feels like an ulterior motive that's not clear as well. No one is going to win in a situation like that. I know we're not really going to talk about it, but it's just, it reminded me of like everything going on with Mason Greenwood at the moment. I can't really, I can't really understand, because there's probably so much little bits of truth to everything that you're hearing, but you're not quite sure which bits are the true bits and which bits are probably not, because someone's lying, or someone is not understood or not aware of the situation. And that interview didn't clear any of that up for me. But that was my thoughts. What about you, Cuz?
Yeah, it's mad because I think I agree with you. I think it's hard when, and I don't want to like say, I don't want the conversation to be
Mm,
is he guilty or is he not guilty, because I don't think it's, I don't think that's even something we can determine without evidence. And I think that's the key thing. The key thing is just because there was no, and in the interview he says obviously he was never interviewed by the police, and all the women that were accusing him of whatever they accused him of, they went to the papers rather than the police. Well, he's saying that we don't know that. The police might have said,
mm,
look, there's no evidence. We can't pursue this. The CPS are never going to take on a case regardless of anything. This is why when you just brought Mason Greenwood, that's a very good example. If they lose a key witness like they did in the Mason Greenwood, the CPS are
mm,
not taking on that case. So just because there's no investigation or there's no criminal charges brought to someone
mm.
doesn't mean they're not guilty, or they're guilty. We don't know. But it was a weird interview, and I think it's a weird thing to go on a press run, which is what I see it as, because it's not just that one. I think there's
Okay.
another podcast, another couple that he's been on. Um, and what struck me in that interview, and I want to ask another question in a minute, but what struck me in that interview was how controlling, and Kanye West does this a
Mm.
lot in his interviews as well, where he controls the conversation without letting the interviewer know that they're controlling the conversation. There's a way that people do it where they might think they're in control, but they're
Okay.
actually not. And if you rewatch it, or if anyone who hasn't watched it or they have go and rewatch it, you can tell that he is in control of that whole conversation. And I find it, some of the answers to the questions that he was asked were very, not even vague. I just think they're kind of, so what
Yeah.
kind of thing. That was the attitude I got from it. It was like, yeah, but so what? And if it was me and I was accused of those things, regardless of whether I did it or not, I would have remorse.
Mm.
Regardless, I don't care whether, if you're a human being, there was zero like accountability or remorse. And I think even if you weren't, because he admitted to certain things in the interview that he did, and he
Holds
said,
his hand up.
yeah,
Yeah.
I did that, but he never said, oh, I did it, but I apologize for that if I offended anyone, or I learned from that in a way that I could then go on. And I think it was for me. And the question I want to ask you is, if someone has been accused of something and then they either are not guilty or guilty, because let's be honest, some people are guilty of stuff and they become reformed
Mm.
and changed or whatever, should they still be able to voice not even their opinion, but give their side of a story, or give their side of something that's happened that's impacted them, whether it's good or bad? Should they still be able to do that, I suppose?
I mean, my straightforward answer is yeah, because who are we to necessarily pass judgment and tell people what they can and can't do? How you feel about it and what you want to do with that information then is probably more the issue. And I think that's where a lot of us, our egos take over, and we just want to say, oh, well, but you done that. So, and it stops us from really understanding why people do things, so we can then come up with preventative things as well. Um, it's tricky though when, because in that interview, and I'm just referencing what was in there. There are
Yeah,
things
yeah,
like, you know, if somebody feels something happens, they can either go to the police or they can go to this place or that place. And I'm thinking, okay, but realistically, what we kind of know is that when people have been abused, I'm not saying that that was the case this time, but if they've been abused or assaulted or whatever, particularly women, they can't actually go to those places because quite often they're laughed out the room or they're dismissed or they end up getting abused again by the people supposed to help them. So it's things like that where you think, this is kind of, it's kind of pointless whether they're guilty or not, because this is not showing or telling us anything. It's just not antagonized. The same with the whole thing with the laptop. The so many times referenced. Oh yeah, look, it's on, the
I
emails are on
see
there. The
that.
emails are on there. The emails are on there. Can we see them? No, no, no. I'm not going to show you. It's just like,
To give him his credit though, to give him his credit on the Winners Talking podcast, he does
okay,
actually get the laptop out and he does show it. But I hear your point because he referenced it a lot, and it wasn't even just that though. There was other things that ZZ asked him, and I can't answer that. I can't answer that. I can't answer that. And I feel there's legal things going on, which he said on multiple occasions on that thing. Oh, I can't talk about it. It's legal. Why are you on the podcast? I don't get that. What are you? For me, if I could speak to him now, I'd be saying, what did you think you was gonna gain by doing this little
right
podcast
now,
press run? And yeah,
yeah,
or at all, because it ain't gonna give him. I don't think it opens a door for him back into being in the film industry or the acting industry again. I get he probably wants to try and clear his name, but I don't know if he's done that with these interviews. So I don't get, and again, goes back to my point. What if not just him? I'm talking anyone. What purpose would it do without substantial evidence to say, you know, like the Neymar situation? Remember when he nearly got blackmailed and he had the camera set up in the room? Now that I would come out and do a podcast and be like, look, you can see the information's there. This is what happened. I had this here. She's blackmailed me. Here's the camera. Here's the footage. But he hasn't got any of that. So I don't get what he was getting from trying to clear his name in that way. I don't know. I think it was such a, and 20, I mean, I'm
yeah.
not a judge on nothing, or I don't work for that, but 20 women is a lot of women to accuse you of some shit for it to not be true. I'm
No,
sorry.
no,
That's just my own
it's a big
opinion.
amount. And the reason why, when you asked me before, should people, you know, should people come and say their side, particularly when they're on the, I don't know what we call, like the defense, I guess. Um, I think actually it's good because you get to see what that person is like anyway. You can't judge things just on body language, but
No,
as in you
I
can,
can,
but I
I
mean,
can.
as in you can't determine someone's guilt or innocence on that. But what it tells you is a bit about what that person is like and where their mind is. And sometimes it's a bit helpful to see that anyway, because that is one thing I did get from it. I'm not going to go into too much because at the end of the day, like I wasn't there. I don't know. 20 is a lot, but also we
Yeah,
know
yeah.
that certain people have motives as well. I don't know, and it just what I've read, I kind of know what my opinion is, and I know why it is that. But just what I learned was just by seeing that there is an issue there that left me feeling very uncomfortable, like that whole controlling thing. I don't know if that's a general thing or particularly with them. A lot of the talking over, like you say, the lack of remorse, and I kind of, both of us anyway, know what the industry would have been like around that time, what was going on in society. Do you know what I mean? So it helps to fill in a few gaps or suspicions that you had just by seeing someone behave in that kind of environment.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's difficult because some of the points he made, I do agree with. Like, obviously, Carnival is a big example. Like, and I'm not condoning what happens at Carnival, whatever happens there, or whatever. Do you know what I mean? But when he mentioned that, and he was like, when you, and even growing up in school, I'll be honest, like, it was a bit mad, like, for boys and girls in school. I'll be honest, like, I didn't partake in it, but I know that I've seen a lot of stuff in school. So that era was like that, and the music industry is still like that to this day. Like, there's things happening in the music industry that one day will come to light, and whoever wants to bring it to light will bring it to light. But I can tell you for factual stuff offline
Yeah,
that things happen
yeah,
in the music industry very similar to that industry there, if not worse. So it does happen, and for me, it was just like, I don't know, man. I'm sorry, like, so, and we spoke about cancel culture on here before. It's not a case of him being cancelled. I think it's just, what is the end gain from doing that? What did you benefit from that? And it just didn't sit right with me, man. The whole interview didn't sit right with me. The whole thing didn't sit right with me. If it was me as well, I don't think I would come out and do a podcast. I'd probably just release
yeah.
a statement. You get what I'm saying? Because then I think he made himself look worse by doing that. Because when Zizi asked him the certain questions, he couldn't answer them. And now, if you're an innocent man, I'm just answering the question, innit? Like, I don't give a shit what anyone thinks legally, unless he's trying to sue people, which could be that. But if it is, then cool. But if I'm not doing that, I'm just answering the question. I ain't gotta say
Can't
to you,
answer that.
oh, I
Yeah.
can't get the laptop. I can't answer that. It's. I think unless it's a Neymar situation where you've got some evidence of something, or you're in court and you're found, I don't know, you've done something mad, and the DNA comes back that it's not you, and you're unanimously found
Yeah, yeah.
not guilty of something, then yeah, 100% go out there and clear your name. Make sure that you're there. Or if someone's lied, like the woman that nearly got the, I think she's from
Yeah.
Bradford or somewhere, and she got 8 years recently. Someone like her, imagine them man, like the men there, even though they're found not guilty, they're still
Yeah.
gonna have a
Yeah.
label on them.
Mm.
Do you know what I'm saying? So people like that, I get why they're trying to do it. But when you're in this grey area still, and we don't know whether you did or you didn't, you're better off just keeping your mouth shut. Because if something comes out, you're gonna look
But it's
stupid.
it's it's true, and I find it quite ironic that he's saying to go through the process with, like, if they feel that something's happened, they should go through the process. I don't understand why he doesn't go through the process first and then do the podcast. That's why I said the timing. Just do it after, like, release all your stuff, then you can talk about everything till the cows come home. If you've done, if he's saying he's done all this thing for the industry, which I'm sure it's true, and kudos, like, it's opened up doors. But my feeling is, then if you've done that behind the scenes, why bring this up now? Do you know what I mean?
I, it worries me as well though, because we already know, like, going to the police doesn't mean
Yeah,
shit in this day and age. And if you've read like the news for the last couple of months, the Met Police isn't the best
for a lot of
people
things.
to be
Yeah,
going to for things like that.
yeah, yeah,
I'm
facts.
just being honest. Like, they're not. We've seen a lot of things about them in the papers, and not even just the Met, just overall in society right now. And like I said, if there's no evidence, it doesn't mean you're not guilty. It just means that there's lack of evidence. Unless someone's got video footage, the Neymar situation, it's their word against his word. What evidence are you going to be able to show to say that someone says something inappropriate to you, apart from verbally, unless you recorded them? Back then, no one was recording
Mm.
shit. So it's like, it don't sit right with me, and yeah, I don't know,
This
man.
is
We can't sit here and say someone's guilty when we don't have evidence, and we can't say they're not guilty.
this
But
is the thing, though.
I
Like,
can
we
go off
both
bad
came out of
language.
that thinking this has not cleared anything up. It's raised more questions, and
Yeah, yeah,
also I don't
100.
understand why this and why now. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, yeah.
I hear you, man. But yeah, I am. Are you gonna watch the other ones? Are you watching the other ones, or you? Because I know you wasn't very keen on that first one.
Um,
In terms of the format, sorry, not in terms of the is he guilty, not guilty, did he do not that bit, just in terms of the whole thing. I know you wasn't 100% keen on
yeah, I think I
the
will,
questioning.
because, like I said, the more you watch something, the more you can understand. There might probably isn't going to be a conclusion, but you can understand people's behavior and how people talk and act, and things you can look out for. Because, like you said, whether he's guilty or not, there's a hell of a lot of these cases that are probably going to be popping up here, then everywhere. And sometimes, if you're going to follow it or whatever, it's just useful to see this one is quite a new-ish kind of one for that kind of person, thinking about where he's from and the age and stuff. So I'll watch it just from a curiosity point of view, but there's too much of this grey area stuff coming out. When I say grey area, I don't mean it's okay to do it or it might not be okay to do it. I just mean it just sounds super messy, and I don't even know how to break it down and think about it. But there's a lot of it, and there's no right answer. It's just a mess that's happened in the first place in whichever way, and nobody wins from this. Do you know what I mean? No, like no one, not them, not me, not you. It's a mess.
It's true, man. And yeah, I think just to round up on it, I think it's difficult for women and men or whoever to come forward, because a lot of the time these are probably the hardest. Like I said at the very start of this is one of the hardest things to get a conviction on. Like murder, there's normally a weapon or a body or DNA is left or something. But when these kind of things happen, it is one of the hardest things. The CPS are not picking up cases where they are 40-50%.
Yeah, they want the rate.
Are they going to get a conviction? They want something where they know, because I'm sure as well, if they appealed, the CPS might have to pick up the legal fees for if they lose, the CPS would have to pay the accused person's legal cost as well, or if they appealed it. So there's a lot at stake, and this is why it's hard to get convictions for things like this, because it ain't a case of just saying, oh, he done that to me, and the CPS go, oh yeah, okay, let's take it to court. It don't work like that. That's why when people say, oh, why don't you just go to the police, because the police probably think this is just paperwork for me, I ain't doing it.
No, it's real, isn't it? That's what they're thinking.
Yeah, so they're thinking paperwork, more paperwork, CPS got to get involved, it's long. Do you know what I mean? But it shouldn't not be that. I'm not saying that's the right way. I'm saying that should not be the way, and that it should be addressed more, and it has to be addressed more. And if these accusations, 20 or whatever, one's too many, in my opinion. So, but we're going to put some links to charities and organisations for this episode. I think in the link as well for anyone who is still listening to this part of the episode as well, just as support networks and other stuff that we can try and reach out for people as well. But yeah, it's a mad one. I'll be honest, it's mad, it really is. I think I need a nap after that, to be fair.
To be fair, tomorrow have some fried dumpling, and it's a place that you go to.
That's why you're falling asleep, Yeah, I eat them hard food, hard food in the middle of the day. Nah, man. Hard food, little yam, little green banana, them thing there. Man, but it's yeah. I might try. I'm off now anyway for 2 weeks. Literally got half term in it, so I might have to try and. I was gonna say try kids, but I might have to do that.
Oh man!
I'll take that bit out. Sorry,
God.
No.
It's for the bloopers.
That's the first one. That's my first strike. Sorry, but I meant just keep them calm somehow.
Hey, just stop talking. Stop talking.
But then I'll try it. But listen, this has been episode 3. Stay tuned. I was gonna say what the title is, but I haven't got the title ready yet for this one. But if you're on subscribe, make sure you're watching this on YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leave comments as well. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you're on Apple or Spotify, make sure you again hit that link. That'll take you to all our socials on there as well, so make sure you subscribe to them as well. Episode 3 done, wrapped up. Make sure you have a good weekend. When's Easter as well? It's not this weekend, it's next weekend, isn't it? Yeah, Good Friday, man. Little bit of fish and little dumpling thing.
100% than a nap, yeah.
That man, look, Aki man, and a nap, 100%, man. But yeah, we'll be back next week, man. Good Friday. So next week's Good Friday, yeah? Yeah, Good Friday next week, man. Have a good week, people, and a good weekend. Premier League is back as well for the football fans, so let's hope Chelsea get us some results, and United 100%. For you, innit?
100%.
Yeah, man. Stay blessed, everyone.